I've talked about sweeteners in previous videos, such as erythritol, which is it's a kind of what they call a polyol. It's a type of sweetener that's very controversial lately because of a study that came out which suggested that it caused internal blood clots, which are associated with cardiovascular catastrophes like strokes and heart attacks. The study, as I pointed out in that video I did actually two videos on erythritol. The first one was the health benefits, and in that first one I pointed out erythritol is actually not it's not an artificial sweetener because it's produced naturally in the body, and it's found in several natural foods. The thing is that this study was extremely flawed, and it scared a lot of people because erythritol is ubiquitous. It's found in a lot of various sweeteners that are sold commercially, and people freaked out. It turned out it was just a red herring. It was a dud, a very bad study, which I explained in my second video on erythritol. And I could tell you, I think I mentioned in that second video, that study, when I first saw it, I have to admit, before I actually read it, I was using erythritol at the time because I was using the only time I use a sweetener is in my coffee, and I was using a sweetener that contained stevia, which is a natural sweetener, and it also had erythritol. And I kind of freaked out when I first saw that because I said, oh my God, I'm eating something that could, even though I only used very little. I mean, I used a teaspoon, maybe half a teaspoon in my coffee. I kind of figured that's not going to cause a problem, but the mere fact that they were, suggesting it can cause internal blood clots, it alarmed me, like it did most people, until I actually read the study, which most people don't do. They don't bother to read the actual study. They go by these internet bullshit headlines and fear mongering videos, that warn you that erythritol is going to kill you and all that crap. But I read the study and I realized it was a bogus, stupid study, and it just, anything. Let me put it this way. Anything that's taken in overabundance, in other words, taking too much of anything, even drinking water. Everybody knows, for example, if you drink too much water I'm taking a huge amount, several gallons of water, you can dilute the electrolytes in your brain, and you can go into convulsions, and you can die. That's some plain old water. Anything in too large amount can kill you, and that goes for any type of sweetener, artificial sweetener, whether it's natural or artificial. But today I'm going to talk about, I started using a different type of a sweetener it's actually called monk fruit. Now, the monk fruit that I purchased was not sold alone. It was in a granulated form, and it looked exactly like table sugar or sucrose, and had the same, let's say, consistency and feel and taste of regular table sugar. But see, the thing is that it was a combination of monk fruit and erythritol. Here we go again with the erythritol. Now, first of all, why would they add erythritol to monk fruit, which is a natural sweetener that's about 200 times sweeter than table sugar? They do it because monk fruit itself, the natural color of monk fruit is kind of yellowish. And you know how people are. They freak out. They expect sugar to be white as snow, clean snow. So erythritol, by adding erythritol, they not only increase the sweetness of monk fruit, but they also make it look exactly like table sugar or sucrose. If you looked at it, you would, and just put it in a, let's say, teaspoon, you would not know that it wasn't sucrose. But anyway, let's talk a little bit about this monk fruit stuff. Monk fruit comes from southern China, and like most, let's say, Chinese medications, it has a long history of use. Traditional medicine in China has used monk fruit or suggested it for treat coughs, asthma, and various other ills. Like I say, it's a staple of traditional Chinese medicine. The Chinese word for it is longu. Lohangu, I'm probably mispronouncing that, but it looks like a small green melon. Now, when they make the sweetener monk fruit, what they do is they're taking the juice from the fruit, not the whole fruit. They're taking the juice from the fruit and they're processing it into a type of powder, or something that can be used as a sweetener. Now, the whole fruit, monk fruit itself, besides having this sweet taste, has various other nutrients, including bioflavonoids, flavonols, and even amino acids. But you're not getting this when you take a monk fruit sweetener. You're just getting the actual sweet extract. And as I said, it's 150 to 250 times sweeter than table sugar. It provides 0 calories and carbs, and it doesn't raise blood glucose levels. What happens is it cannot be basically digested. So it imparts a fruit taste, but you can't be absorbed, but like regular sugar. And other non-nutritive sweeteners, they often cause side effects: gas, bloating, allergic reactions. Others are controversial for other reasons, such as Equal and Splenda. Those are controversial. There's been some studies indicating that they might cause a upset in the balance of beneficial bacteria in the intestinal microbiota. That's the population of bacteria and other organisms that reside in the colon. That there's, oh my God, there's studies coming out every day about the microbiota. I'm talking, I've written about it in my Applied Metabolics several times, and I'm probably going to write about it again and again, because they're always coming out with new information. Anything that upsets the microbiota or causes an imbalance of bacteria there is going to be extremely damaging to health. It affects everything in the body, especially the immune response. Now, what about monk fruit? What's the side effects? None, basically none. It's very safe. The Food and Drug Administration, which monitors, foods and drugs, basically, they have listed monk fruit as being gras, which means generally recognized as safe for everyone, including pregnant women and children. You got to be careful of a lot of things that people can normally eat are not suitable for women who are pregnant, because they can cause what they call teratogenic effects, meaning it can cause birth defects. Monk fruit is not one of them. It's also safe for diabetics. The active ingredients, the thing that imparts let's say the part of monk fruit that imparts sweetness, is called mongrosides. And the mongrosides, they've tested it, and it doesn't cause any problems with people with diabetes. So, of course, anyone with diabetes, anyone who is insulin resistant, which is that's defined as pre-diabetes, meaning that you're showing higher resting blood glucose levels, usually between 100 and 120. A resting glucose level of 126 is full-blown diabetes, but very often it's preceded by what they call insulin resistance. Well, again, resting elevated blood glucose levels. And anyone who has that or diabetes has to be really careful of sugar. You really can't eat sugar. It's only going to exacerbate it or make it worse. Now, the monk fruit, because it doesn't have any calories, carbs, or fat, it can be used on any kind of diet, including a ketogenic or zero-carb diet, which is good news for people that follow low-carb diets. It will not detract from the fat loss benefits of reducing carbohydrates or being on a ketogenic diet. Some studies, isolated studies and animal studies, show that monk fruit has pretty potent anti-inflammatory properties, which is a little bit, that's why it was used in traditional Chinese medicine. They used to make drinks out of monk fruit to treat sore throats and reduce phlegm and upper respiratory problems, because it has really good anti-inflammatory properties. And because of this anti-inflammatory property of monk fruit, it might help to have a effect of preventing cancer. And also, like I say, it'll keep blood sugar levels stable. Elevated blood glucose levels are also associated with some types of cancer, such as colon cancer. So it's not good. Now, is there any problems with monk fruit as far as Downside, well, there's very rarely some people might have a allergy to monk fruit, but it's very rare. Monk fruit is a member of what they call the gourd family, which includes pumpkin, squash, cucumbers, and melons. If you're allergic to any of these type of gourds, as they're called, Gourd, then you have a greater chance of having a not a serious, but a slight, it could be serious. You could have an allergic reaction to monk fruit. And what are the symptoms? It would be hives or rash, which is on the skin, of course. You get these little bumps, hives, you get a rash, a redness on the skin. You might have difficulty breathing. You might have a rapid or weak pulse. Might feel dizzy, swollen tongue, stomach pain, vomiting, wheezing. Those are signs of allergy. The worst form of allergy can cause your throat to swell up, and it can actually kill you because you won't be able to breathe. I'm sorry, I'm trying to remember the medical name of that particular type of severe allergic reaction. But strange thing about that, just offhand, is that one of the ways to treat that, strangely enough, years ago, was the anabolic steroid Winstrol. Winstrol was actually used to treat this particular type of allergic action that involved the swelling of the throat. Of course, it's not used for that anymore. Now, how can you use monk fruit as a sweetener? Well, you could use it like any other sweetener: coffee, hot tea, smoothies. You could put it on cereals, whatever you want. So let me see what else I could tell you about monk fruit. I think that's about it. Basically, it has really no downsides. But as I said, similar to stevia, from what I could see from perusing the supermarket aisle where the sweeteners are, most of the commercial monk fruit sweeteners, and you can get them in an envelope or you can get them in a free powder. I've been using a free powder form. For some reason, again, they're always combined with erythritol, which some people might not like, but really, as I said in the 2 videos I did on erythritol, erythritol is basically a benign substance when used in moderate amounts. Unless you go crazy and take in 2 pounds a day of erythritol, you won't have any problems. The same goes for monk fruit. It's probably, I think it's probably right now the safest natural sweetener I could think of at the moment. I have to really think that one through, but I would say that monk fruit is probably one of the safest natural sweeteners. Again, if you're looking for a great natural sweetener, as I said, my only use for monk fruit sweetener is to sweeten my coffee. That's all I use it for, and I use a maximum of 2 teaspoons. That's it. I do use it almost every day because I have coffee every day. If you're looking for a really good sweetener that does taste, especially when it's combined with erythritol, I mean, it tastes exactly like table sugar. I mean, I know there's people that'll leave comments under the video saying, well, I noticed it left a bitter taste in my mouth, and yeah, it doesn't taste like table. Well, it does taste like table sugar. It does. No matter what, people will criticize anything. They'll always have a couple of naysayers that deny facts, which is very common today. That's about it for monk fruit. If I find anything comes up in the medical literature that will change what there's one other thing, important thing. I almost forgot. This is a very important. That monk fruit, when I mentioned about the intestinal microbiota, is a very important point about monk fruit. There's no evidence at all that monk fruit will upset the balance of the intestinal microbiota. That's one of the reasons I use monk fruit, because I have done a lot of research on the intestinal microbiota. I continue to do research on it, and I don't want to do anything that's going to upset the balance of bacteria, because I can't overemphasize how important it is to maintain the balance of the bacteria in the intestinal microbiota. And as I've said in previous videos, just for your own information, the best way to keep your intestinal microbiota healthy is to eat soluble fiber. Soluble fiber, as is found in oatmeal and fruits and other sources, that's the main food for the intestinal microbiota. When you consume soluble fiber, certain bacteria in the intestinal microbiome will produce what's known as short-chain fatty acids. There's three of them: acetate, propionate, and butyric acid. These things are very important for health. Butyric acid, for example, they've shown in studies if somebody has precancerous polyps or signs of precancer in the colon, butyric acid is capable of reversing that and causing the... This is so impressive, I can't help laughing. It can actually cause a reversal of abnormal cells, precancerous cells in the colon, reverse them back to normal. And colon cancer is one of the leading causes of cancer, so that's a big thing. Big thing. So again, the monk fruit does not adversely affect the intestinal microbiota, which is a great feature because some of the other ones, Splenda, Equal, all these other ones, they're still up in the air. I mean, one study will come out saying they cause problems with the intestinal microbiota. Other study says it doesn't. Goes back and forth, back and forth. So, the door isn't closed on whether those other sweeteners are safe for the intestinal microbiota. As far as I should also add, another criticism about some of these sweeteners is that it fools your body into thinking you're eating sugar. So as a consequence, your brain, a kind of signal is sent to your brain, and it stimulates appetite. So according to these critics, using various types of sweeteners, even though they don't contain calories and they don't really affect insulin at all, and that's another myth, by the way, they do not affect insulin. I've seen a couple of videos warning people, if you take stuff like Equal, Splenda, any of these others, your body will think it's sugar and kick out insulin. Nonsense. It doesn't work. That's bullshit. That's another internet lie. But the point is that this stuff, the critique is that consuming sweeteners will trick your body and lead to a increased appetite, which will kind of defeat the whole purpose of artificial sweeteners because you'll wind up eating more calories. Well, I could testify or verify that I don't believe that's true for most sweeteners, but I know for a fact that it's not true for monk fruit. Monk fruit will not increase your appetite, and it does not affect insulin at all. So that's about it for monk fruit. I keep calling it monk fruit. It's monk fruit. Anyway, so if you're looking for a great sweetener, that's the one to go with. And if you can't get it, if you can get it without erythritol, well, that's probably a good idea. I mean, but as I said, most of them contain erythritol because it gives it a better consistency. It increases the sweetness, and it makes it look like real sugar. So that's it for monk fruit. Bye-bye, monk fruit. No, actually, I'm still using it. If you want more information about nutrition, exercise science, anti-aging research you can use today, ergogenic aids, things that'll help you train harder and better and increase workout intensity, supplement science, which supplements work, which ones don't. I'm not associated with any supplement company at all, unlike about 98% of people who post YouTube videos. I mean, you'll see somewhere in their video, they will kind of either push their own supplement, or they'll be mentioning some other company supplement, or they'll say stuff like, use the code AK3 and you get a 20% discount on supplements from blah, blah, blah. Well, these people are shills. They're being paid by supplement companies to push the supplement company, and I don't trust those videos. I will not watch any video of somebody who's pushing a supplement company, whether it's their own or someone else's, because I consider, this is just me, I'm not telling you that you should do this, I consider them infomercials, and I have no interest in infomercials. But that's my thing. If you want to watch these videos, you find them entertaining, you like the little cartoon graphics and all that stuff, be my guest. But I don't consider them very credible, so I don't listen to them. As for myself, as you've noticed, anyone who's watched my videos, I don't push any supplement videos. Even when I'm talking about particular supplements like whey powder, I don't mention brand names. Some whey proteins are better than others, but I'm not going to start pushing particular companies. I'm not getting paid to do so, and I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to commercialize my videos, except for one thing, which is what I'm doing now, which is to suggest that you subscribe to my Applied Metabolics. Besides those other topics, I cover women's health and fitness, hormonal therapy, I cover more topics in applied metabolics than any other digital publication by far. And none of these other digital publications can match my 62 years of personal experience and time in the trenches, being in the gym. I was working out before most of these people were born. I know all the tricks. I wrote for bodybuilding magazines. I was an editor for 15 years for bodybuilding. I've interviewed countless professional and amateur bodybuilders. I know all the tricks, all the tips. It's all included in applied metabolics, and you won't find it anywhere else because these people just don't know. And you won't find this in blogs, and you won't find them in videos. They just haven't had the experience, and they don't. Most of the time, they don't have the knowledge. I'm not saying some of the other digital publications aren't good. Some of them are versed in science. They're evidence-based. But in my opinion, just as again, my opinion, I don't think they're very well written. They're not written by professional writers. I am a professional writer. I know how to write for the public. Most of these people are academics. They have the PhDs, the MDs. They wrote their dissertations in a very passive, slow style. That's the way it's supposed to be written, but that's not the way we should write for the public. You have to write in a way that the public can understand and in a way that it won't bore people reading it to death. And that's what I do in Applied Metabolics. I include little stories about the so-called golden age of bodybuilding, when I trained with Arnold Schwarzenegger, other famous bodybuilders. I include all of that's included in Applied Metabolics. I mean, you can't really lose. It's not expensive. It costs less than a cup of latte at what's the name of that coffee place? I can't remember it, but it's not expensive. No matter how hard the economic times are, Applied Metabolics is still. It's going on. I've had it now for 9 years. I haven't raised the price of the publication at all, despite the fact that everything around me has been raised. All my costs to produce Applied Metabolics have gone up considerably, but I've kept the price low because I want as many people to read it as possible, because I think I have very important information to impart that can literally change your life. That's why I want as many people to read it as possible. I mean, anyway, I'll leave it at that. It's www.appliedmetabolics.com. Subscribe today. When you subscribe, send me an email, and I'll send you an invitation to join my private Applied Metabolics Facebook page, where each day I post new information on nutrition, exercise, science, and medicine in general. I also have an email portal on my Applied Metabolics webpage, and that's only for current subscribers. I don't answer unsolicited questions. I've said this in all my videos. I always point out that I only respond to questions submitted by current subscribers. I do that as a kind of added benefit, let's say an appreciation of their subscription. So I will answer short questions related to anything that's in Applied Metabolics, or anything that comes to mind about nutrition and exercise science. Despite me saying this, there's not a day that goes by that I get emails from people who might have seen a video of mine and start asking me a bunch of questions. They're not subscribers. They don't offer it. They want to do a consult. If they want to pay for it, I'll be happy to answer all their questions. But, I have things to do. I have a life also. And the little time I have, free time, if you want to call it that, I will give to my subscribers, because I appreciate their subscription. And so, if somebody sends me a email and they're not a subscriber, it's gone. I'm just going to delete it. I'm sorry. I don't mean to be mean, but my subscribers come first. That's just the way it works. And I'm just saying this as a warning. Don't bother sending me an email if you're not a subscriber, because I'm not going to answer it. But you're welcome, on the other hand, to leave comments under the videos. Anything about the video you want to remark on, or if you want to suggest future video topics, that's fine. If I feel that the topic will interest a large number of people, I should say, I will try to do a video on it. So that's about it. The other thing I say, I'll always end my videos, and I'll say it again. If you want to have the best friend you'll ever have, go to your local shelter, adopt a dog. Just a little past 3 months now since my dog Bruno passed away, and it's just still feel very sad about it. I miss him. He was a great little companion. To me, he was the perfect dog. He was just a little guy, The most he ever weighed was 14 pounds. When he got sick, he started to lose weight. When he died, he was all the way down to just under 7 pounds. And that's about the weight he was when I first got him when he was 3 years old. I had him for 20 years. He was 23 years old. And like I say, he meant a lot to me is all I could say. So, if you really want a good friend and you're doing what they call in the Jewish religion a mitzvah, which is a good deed, go to your local shelter, save a dog. They're just so loving and so loyal to humans. They are man's best friend. Thank you for listening.